Hello there. My name is Mark, aka The Canardian, and I'm joined on this very special episode of Holocron Chronicles. This is episode 31, and I'm joined as always by my amazing, trusty co-pilot, Charlie Carden. Charlie. Flah.
Right. You got that?
That I'd be able to do that.
Speaking is fundamental.
Nope, not yet.
Nope.
So yeah, Charlie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back. As you know, I started a new job about a month ago. It's got me on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I needed to record on a Monday, but you had to record on a Tuesday. But I was in a hotel in Indiana, and it just was a whole kerfuffle. So I am back where I belong, back in the high life again, sporting my. I don't know if you can see it so well. Mm-hmm. I got this at Grand Rapids Comic-Con back in the fall. This would be the Michigan State University Spartan Stormy. He still can't hit anything. Go green.
It's great to have you back. Although I have to say, last week with Chase was a good replacement. If I enjoyed that episode. Yeah. Chase was definitely a good fill-in and an amazing guest. And I have to say, before we introduce this week's guest, just one more time, go follow Chase and the whole Pink Milk crew for anything #Blackout Star Wars Eclipse, because we got to keep that movement going. So without further ado, though, let's introduce this week's guest, Sara.
It's
AKA,
no guest.
Sara Palpatine. Or Sara.
I go back and forth depending on my.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like the Kenobi Palpatine. I saw one as your screen name, and then the other at the as the Twitter profile. So maybe we'll get into a little bit of that. But Sara, you're the host of a couple of different podcasts. Do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit of what you do?
Gladly. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited. I thought Charlie's, was that a Steve Winwood reference you did back in the High Life again?
You're damn right it was. Good deal.
Okay.
That's vintage, about 1987, I think, album of the same name, if I'm not mistaken.
That's my birth year, so I remember it quite well. I have a really good
children. You and Mark are both 80s children. I am from the dreadful 70s. So 1 year older than Star Wars itself.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty clever. But yeah, Curiosity Killed the Cat is my main podcast. There I get into movies, TV shows. I've gotten into other, kind of random stuff throughout the last couple of years, but mostly TV and movies. And then Hello There is all Star Wars animation and specials and shorts and stuff. And I just caught the Faithful Wookiee a few nights ago, and it was really fun.
Oh, and the Faithful Wookiee, that's the extraction, for lack of a better term, from the Star Wars animated special, isn't it? Boba Fett's first true appearance. Am I remembering correctly?
Oh, it could be. It could be that one, right? Because does he show up in the Ewok one, or just Faithful Wookiee? I'm not real. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I thought the Faithful Wookiee. Now that was pulled off of. It's on Disney Plus. I felt like that's what they called the bit. That was like, it was Boba Fett, and he was pulling a fast one, and he captured Han and Chewie, and is that the one?
Yeah. And he does something. He goes to I like what I remember at the top of my head. It was really funny because they did reference it in when we saw the biker kids in the Book of Boba Fett, the third episode, I believe. We see one guy after the Pikes come in off of like the bus ship that we see Mando come in. Mm-hmm. He goes to like a payphone thing and he puts a thing in the slot or whatever, and then he talks to Boba. And there was kind of something similar in that little cartoon special where Boba goes to put like a little card in the machine, and then the screen dials up and it's Darth Vader, and that's him, I think, telling Vader that he's got.
Right. Like everybody thought that we'd be talking on video phones in the future. Oh wait, what are we doing right now? Except for no cards and no standing in a phone booth like it's the 70s. Ooh,
cards just built in on your phone now.
Right. It is the card.
I love those weird little callbacks that they keep doing, it from Mando's rifle to even like the Book of Boba Fett, when like that callback, I've ridden beasts 10 times this size,
right? And that was from the Faithful Wookiee, because he was riding on this big whirly gig, whatever the hell that thing was.
Yeah,
Oblivion Blue or whatever Star Wars word you want to pick. There you go.
Yeah. and it was I do love the memes that came out of that, because and I said it as soon as I watched the episode. I was like, yeah, like your mom. And the memes just started the next day. It was fantastic. It's great.
Oh my god,
we're off to a great start. For Hello There, I do love your focus just on Star Wars animation, because ourselves included, there are a million Star Wars podcasts out there, and lot of us.
I thought it was just us. I think
there's a decent. No, yeah, I mean, it's just us and like Pink Milk, a couple others, but
right,
it's, and a lot of them will cover everything, because we're kind of used to Star Wars being like, you kind of get a little bit here and a little bit there, and maybe it's a TV show, maybe it's a movie. What was the decision for you to just focus on animation?
Well, I started wanting to talk more Star Wars on the main podcast, and I finally did. I did a Revenge of the Sith episode, I think back in May, which I guess that's good timing, because I totally forgot. I had in my head that when I was 18 that Revenge of the Sith came out around Christmas time. I don't know why, but my brain just put me there, and it was no, it came out in freaking May of 2005, like everything else. So long story short, I really wanted to start getting more into it, and I wasn't sure if I was qualified to talk about it. I didn't know, I just was starting to feel safer in the community in terms of expressing myself as a fan and everything. And so I thought if I could find something with ADHD, sometimes you want to do so many things. You want to do so many things,
oh, yes,
all of the things. And it's just, you can't. And so I've been learning, how to rein that in. And I knew if it had a single focus, and if I could just, watch a few cartoons every week and sit back and talk about it, that would be good. I can do that. That's something I could get excited about doing every week, even if I'm in a funk or whatever. So it's been that one's been really exciting to do, because it's opened up my mind. It's let me chill out. I'm not a snob about things anymore. I've really lightened up in terms of the stuff I watch, and so Star Wars animation certainly helps.
Oh yeah,
that's great. That's awesome. I love that spin. Like I said, it's unique in a space that there are a lot of similar voices, but I love finding different voices. So that's really cool. I love the approach, and I hope you keep having fun with it, because it sounds like it's a fun outlet for you, which is the main thing, I think. When you're just doing it and it feels like a slog, that's time to change it up. So that's awesome. So you mentioned you're an 80s kid like I am. How did you get into Star Wars? Because we obviously came about when Star Wars, the original trilogy, was kind of over, but if you're like me, you just kind of remember it being everywhere. So is that your experience? How did you really get into Star Wars?
It's exactly the same thing. I think it probably depends on your household or your parents or whoever was around you raising you. That's probably where it certainly starts. And both of my parents were just really big. They were into big movies. So any movie that was an event for them before we were born was an event after we were born. So it's they used to tell us stories about when Predator came, or my dad told me one movie he took the day off of work to go see it. And so it's the Poltergeist and Freddy, scary movies and big movies. Anytime they were on TV, back before DVR and all this stuff, it was if something was on TV, it was a big deal and you watched it. So Star Wars was if we knew it was coming on, if it was usually all three of them, right? It was TNT or TBS or USA, one of those big networks with
Star Wars Marathon.
Basic cable hell. And here's 40 minutes of commercials.
Exactly. So that's where it came from. And I was a little short, muscly little child who had a lot of energy, and tumbling and gymnastics and stuff like that was really big for me. And watching Luke on Dagobah with Yoda is literally one of my favorite Star Wars memories, because I would just sit in front of the screen and be like, wow, he's like doing back tucks and
he's doing flips and shit.
I can Obi-Wan Kenobi comes along and like once the prequels came out, and then it was just like they're flipping and flopping and flying and kicking, and Anakin didn't make that last landing, but like, yeah, that whole
he didn't stick the landing, or he landed as a stick.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I know, that was rough. I'm sorry.
That is such a great way to put that. He didn't stick that last landing.
He landed like a stick. He did not have the high ground.
I love it. That's great.
Oh yeah, that's basically that's my jam. And then it just got worse from here. And then once the sequels came out, my sister was always still jacked up in the fandom and stuff, and was like, "We gotta go see them. It's opening night." And so throughout my when I was pregnant with my last son, who's 6, I believe it was The Force Awakens. I was about 8. I was like 8.5 months pregnant when that movie came out. I was like,
did they let you in the theater when you're that pregnant? Like they won't let you on a plane? I'm just kidding.
Oh no, they just roll you in. They just kind of tumble you in like Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Nice. Oh my god.
That's awesome. So it's a bit, as you guys know, it's a big deal. Once it's in you, it's just there, and it's slowly just gotten from this like boulder into this mountain, and so
it's the absolute radiation poisoning that is Star Wars fandom. Some people get too poisoned and they get toxic, but us, we carry the balance of the light side.
Got to.
Absolutely. So what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Okay. Revenge of the Sith. And then I would say A New Hope, just because like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen just like sizzling in front of their moisture farm, like as a kid, I just was like, this is wild. Like
they're teriyaki style. That's what I always say.
Oh my god, well done. Like crispy, and then Anakin
and crispy runs in the family.
Yeah, and
you're right. Yeah, it's a burning passion of theirs, without a doubt.
Oh Jesus, Charlie.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Monday night. What do you want from me?
It runs in the family. It runs in the Skywalker family. The need
runs and falls down burning.
Oh man. All right, good picks. You don't always hear prequels come up in people's favorite, but like I find doing this show, you hear that like more than I kind of expected, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I listened to, I think Chase said Revenge of the Sith as well. Mm-hmm. Now that I remember. Yep.
Yeah. We've had a few that have surprised me with going back to the prequels, because, and I hope this happens for the sequels too, because a few years ago, like anyone saying that they openly liked the prequels would be like shunned. And I hope that happens, because right now it's kind of, divisive. You can be like, oh, I loved The Last Jedi. It's like, what the hell? Are you crazy? and like, I hope in a few years it's just the same kind of thing. And like, you see people now going crazy for Hayden Christensen coming back. And it's like, a few years ago, you hated him for anything that he did, and
calling him wooden and
I mean I love it. I'm not complaining, because I like all the movies, but it's such a weird little flip-flop of the fandom that hopefully, again, like Charlie said, a lot of the fandom can be toxic, so hopefully that'll kind of just work itself out. That'll be
I hope good. So we're working the turkey out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Favorite character. This one I'm very interested in, just because of your Twitter handle and then your Twitter screen name. So I have no idea where you're going with this. So
I'll probably have to do like top 3, just because if I say Revenge of the Sith and then Anakin's my favorite, like I feel like red flags are gonna be like pew, 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 pew. But I would definitely say Anakin's top 3. Luke became top 3, and I think at this point Rey is in my top 3, because I slowly fell in love with them over the years. Obi-Wan, of course, Yoda, love him. Like Dooku, cool Sith guy. Like Palpatine, that end, the reason why he's probably the most intriguing character to me in terms of like the whole thing. It just, you know, in terms of the movies, how it always came back to Palpatine, and he just was so insidious, for lack of a better term, as a kid, watching that hooded figure with that yucky face, that just drooping look to him, and the feel and the energy, and then it was so amplified in the sequels, like, or in the prequel trilogy, that like I was 13 when Phantom Menace came out, so like I wasn't super into Star Wars as a 13-year-old girl anymore. It waxed and it waned. I didn't see Attack of the Clones before seeing Revenge of the Sith in the theater, so I think outside of the original ones, that's the only movie I haven't seen in the theater in terms of Star Wars. But Palpatine, there's just something. I don't know. There's just something about him.
He is an interesting character, and
he's got the touch,
especially in the prequels. Like you see that he is playing chess in a whole universe, playing checkers. Like he is so many steps ahead of everyone, and the Jedi are so clouded by everything that he's doing that you like him or hate him, like you have to respect him, because he was just so calculating, and just he is a very intriguing character.
Playing wizard's chess, literally.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God, it's true.
Well, I gotta bring Harry Potter into it.
Mr. Potter.
That was pretty good. Charlie, I never knew you did impressions.
I'm always down for a good Potter impression.
Many.
So that kind of leads me into my last getting to know you question, which is, if you had some force powers, would you go light side or dark side? And again, I have no idea which direction you're going to go in this one.
Light meat or dark meat?
That's where my inner Ahsoka, like, what I haven't I'm only a few episodes into the show of Clone Wars, but like through Twitter and just people and everything, you know, I know how her arc goes, and I met her in The Mandalorian, and seeing like that version of Ahsoka and seeing where she's at, I'm like, whatever she's doing, I'm into it. So as much as like the dark side is like just ever the more curious, you know, kind of cooler kid side of it, you know, the red and the black and all of that, the lightning power. You know, I love Ahsoka for doing what she had to do in terms of being a Jedi. She got kicked out, I believe, what happened with her. And then I feel like somebody who's kind of on the same coin, different side would be Ventress, kind of how like she was in the darkness for so long and then she kind of came out of it. So I like how I like that spectrum. So to give you a really non-binary black and white answer, more the gray stuff. And I know people get a little upset about the term gray Jedi, but I don't know why.
Yeah. It's interesting. And a lot of people give that answer, and I completely understand that answer, especially with so much wrong with the Jedi. Like there's so much wrong with what they do. And I was reading up on the whole gray Jedi thing earlier this week or last week. And it was kind of interesting to see George Lucas's, one of his early takes on it, which was like the dark side corrupts. So whether you're just touching the dark side as, you know, leaning into the gray area or something, like the dark side, if you allow it in at all, it's going to corrupt. So thinking about it that way, it is kind of like, oh, that's kind of dangerous ground, right? So like you're allowing that darkness in, as tempting as it might be. But at the same time, I was also, and I think I mentioned this the last episode, like there are so many Force factions that are not the Jedi. They're not the Sith. There's the Night Sisters, there's the Bendu, there's, so many different Force users, or even like Broom Kid, who just instinctively uses the Force.
Broom Kid. You give that Broom Kid his lovin'.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like, so there's so much area to explore the Force that I don't think it has to be tied to Jedi, Sith, specifically light, dark in the Jedi and Sith kind of interpretations of light and dark and that kind of thing. So I think there's an interesting side of Star Wars that we're going to get into, and I hope they keep exploring that, because we even saw some of that in The Mandalorian. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we saw some of that kind of stuff with the Darksaber and the weight of the Darksaber. And if Charlie and I, we were talking about this earlier, of like lightsaber lore and how much I like it. And you want to get in, but the weight is something we haven't seen. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen that canonically in live action. They talked about it in Rebels. Maybe in Clone Wars. I can't remember. I definitely distinctly remember them talking about it in Rebels, but it's something that, and in so the originals, George Lucas would have, and I have my lightsaber here. So if anyone's not watching the video,
yes, we can see that.
If anyone not watching, so the originals,
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Two-handed lightsabers, right? Like that was the whole thing, because they were supposed to be heavy. George Lucas wanted it to be like a broadsword, or wanted the light to have mass. Or something that ties in.
Yeah.
And then in the prequels, you got all the spinny flippity stuff, and it's like, well, what changed there? Also, I got a new yellow kyber crystal for my.
He's very excited. You got to tell you.
I am so excited about that. It's so great. I've wanted it for a while, and a friend of mine just went to Disney World and brought it back to me. And you're the best.
Awesome.
So yeah, because they're I didn't want to go the eBay route, because that's just a pain in the ass and they charge too much. Anyway, yeah, lightsabers. I could talk about those for a while. We'll have to do an episode down the road on lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, interesting to look into like how the Force ties into weapons, and like if Mando gets better with the Darksaber, does that mean that he's in touch with the Force? Could he be training with Luke alongside Grogu down the road and like learning to wield that? Like that's all this kind of stuff that I started thinking about this week. So
yes, let's talk.
Time to jump in.
Let's
see what happened, and we'll push all the Mando stuff aside for a second.
Almost have to reverse segue.
Because we're still watching the Book of Boba Fett, but this week's going to be really different. Where last week, Chase and I were very confused as to what happened in which episode and what went where. This one's very distinct. And
draws a line.
We kind of know. So, Chapter 4, Rancor, Wookiee, back to tanks, muscle. What'd you guys think?
That's a lot to fit on a marquee.
Muscles and brains.
Yeah, the muscles from Brussels. So, this was not the episode with the bat where because I missed the last time around, but it was in episode 3 that Kersatin picked him up and chucked him, and there was the big fight where nobody got hurt. But this was just Kersatin kind of down on his legs, hanging out in a bar drinking, and seeing those effing Transdoshans doing their thing. And so yeah, that was their deal, and it was so funny. You see the Cylon, Jennifer Beals characters. Doesn't her character have some kind of funky, sexy name? What is it like?
Guarsa Fwip.
Couldn't be any more like sexy Spider-Man. Fwip. Yeah. She's trying to deal make with him. She's like, dude, I know you're the man, but if you don't rip this guy in half, I'll forgive your tab and blah blah. And he's like, to quote Mark Snows, man, fuck them Transoceans, rip. I love that, and again, loving our first ever page to screen character, if I'm not mistaken, fully fleshed out. Black Kersatin being from the current run of not only Marvel Star Wars, but then obviously more prominent in the Darth Vader comic, and then over in Dr. Aphra, kind of the whole cross patch. But loving his arc, but I love in this, just referring to that in particular, when he's walking out of the bar, that Boba says, "Oi, mate," which is the second time you've heard someone use, that as an expression. You heard it from the Power Rangers biker gang in episode 2 or episode 3. That's a common expression. And Mark, I've said this before, the humanistic tendencies, not only of this in the Star Wars grouping, then also what you see over in the Ron D. Moore Battlestar Galactica, which I've not gotten you to watch yet, just makes me feel like there's some kind of, it's a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago, that it's the same for both. So why do they both speak English and use a lot of our same slang? I feel like it's all connected.
Right.
That's my fan theory.
I think it's all connected.
I like it. There you go. You've got another convert to your Battlestar,
like
Star Wars theory.
Like Lord of the Rings is just it's its own planet somewhere in this galaxy.
Oh,
and
there you go.
Hers is her theory's bigger than yours, Charlie.
And then
I just finished
Terminator
the
planet.
Hobbit
Like
movies.
we've got the whole Sarah Connor, John Connor, Cyberdyne.
We get some of that in the next episode, but let's not skip ahead.
Yeah,
there's some serious Skynet vibes in episode 5.
Halo for anyone that just saw that trailer.
Exactly correct. But yeah, I love this. The Bantha was another one of those. That's some actor kept saying, like, what's going to be our cutesy thing in this series? What's our cutesy thing? Well, we didn't get a cutesy little thing, but we did get Boba's pet beagle in this, which was this
babies.
Yeah, with his big band. He's like, no, you go now. He kind of mums. It was so great. It was kind of sad.
Yeah, so good. Sarah, anything stand out for you? What was your big standout in this episode?
I just rewatched it today because since I watched the last episode so many times, I'm like, okay, let's refresh it. And honestly, I think it might be my favorite. It might be my favorite episode because I've been watching. I didn't watch the Bad Batch when it came out last year, so I was watching it when Boba Fett first came out, and I finished it up before this. But seeing Fennec pop up in the Bad Batch, and then seeing her in the show, I feel like a strong attachment to her. I really appreciate just Boba's whole humanity arc here. It's very reminiscent to Luke in The Last Jedi, which made me love Luke Skywalker and make him one of my favorite characters. Because doesn't he say something in there like the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi or something like that? To bring it back to what you were talking about earlier about does the Force really belong to the Jedi or whatever? I think he references that at some point. But anyways, his whole arc here has been pretty cool. And so seeing her, just left for dead in the sands of Tatooine, like he says, just like him, and him taking her in. And he needs the muscle. So, there's that aspect to it, but it's still, she says yes, he brings her along. He wouldn't do it if she didn't want to. And so them teaming up together, that felt really organic. It felt really authentic. And just seeing the depths of their friendship or partnership or wherever their relationship might go, it was nice to see the seeds of it here.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. And that whole modification part was really badass. Taking her to that spot in particular, and the play on the tattoo piercing shop was just really cool.
Right.
So that's been a really divisive scene. I think.
Of course it has been. Star Wars fandom. What isn't divisive?
What do you guys think about that whole scene? He rescued her, he takes her to this mod shop, they basically rip her whole innards out and replace it with robot parts, leave it exposed because that's their personal choice. She seems to start covering it up later because she pulls her shirt up or whatever in Mandalorian and says he saved me kind of thing. So we find out that he did all of this obviously against her will because she was dying and he wanted to save her. But is that, people have been saying that's not really the right thing to do, or at least the way that they went about it with making those decisions of not covering it up. Luke's hand was covered up in some skin looking stuff, right? Or a glove afterwards. So these modders are like, I'm proud of my droid parts, so everyone else should be proud of the droid parts, and they're kind of putting that off on her. Did you guys get any of those vibes, or did you just kind of think, like Sarah, you just kind of said like it was pretty badass?
I didn't hardly think a thing about it. I mean, again, fandom always kind of going the extra mile to find something to be, obsequiously upset about, like, over on Fox News, how Tucker Carlson hates that the green M&M is so sexy. I mean, come on.
Not the white heel.
Yes, it's the shoes. And now Minnie Mouse is wearing a pantsuit. So yes, watch out for Fox News outrage. But I digress.
I feel like I could definitely see that, like, not everything has to be based off of like aesthetics, like just because it looks cool doesn't mean like it was right. But I kind of thought it was interesting in terms of I have Crohn's disease, which is like a stomach disease, and like I thought it was kind of cool. I haven't been through this process, but there's a lot of people in this community that have had a lot of like invasive surgeries, and I have had an uncle and a grandfather who've ended up with bags and stuff. So I grew up like seeing it. So I kind of saw it as like, I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of saw it as like a cool, like almost like a representation sort of like this weird community out here that like, has to deal with, tummy stuff that's not always pretty and not very exciting. And it just was sort of I just thought it was kind of cool that like of all things that they, she could have had her arm shot off or the leg or whatever that Toro Callahan jerk off freaking did to her. It was a shot straight to the belly, which is very, very, very mafia and very organized crime, which is like such a huge theme in this show with Boba trying to literally build a family and do it a better way,
do it the right way.
Corleone.
As opposed to this little dum-dum who shot her in the stomach, and she's this world-renowned killer, but he's like, pew, gets off a lucky shot. He got his. He sucked.
Did you guys think her reaction was justified of just like, okay, cool, I'm alive now, I guess I'll go on your mission, or like I don't know, would you guys be a little bit more like, what the hell, dude? Like,
I mean,
not letting me die, I guess, but like that's a little bit like
again. He like, she laid there for a long time dying. Like, oh, you were dying of a gut shot. What was it like? At least 24 hours before he picked her up, and then he walked her back. Oh no, he had her tossed over the bantha. The bantha moseys its way into Mos Eisley, and they were like, "Here you go, fix her up or whatever." And I'm like, how was she not? I mean, a gut shot is like, even with a bullet. I guess they say, I'm reminded of Back to the Future 3 with, Mad Dog Tannen saying he would shoot Doc Brown in the stomach. It took him 2 whole days to die. Maybe it's that kind of thing, so she was just in agonizing pain and passed out or whatever, which all sounds great, but, it's a laser blast. So, I guess there's no real science to it.
Would in theory, the laser blast could kind of cauterize some stuff as it went in, and so it would potentially take a long time to bleed out around the burn, and that would be
very Western though, but that is very Midwest too.
And Sarah, to your point, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on a podcast, but I have type 1 diabetes. So right now I have a little puck on my arm that people in the video can see that's monitoring my blood sugar and has completely changed my life the last couple of years. And if someone could be like, hey, we're going to like take out a chunk of your, I don't know, back stomach area and like, replace your pancreas with a robot one.
Well, they just put it, or take off one of your butt cheeks, it'd be just fine, right?
Whatever.
But you got 2 butt cheeks. Why the hell do you need 2?
Let's do this. I just read that they passed a clinical study of like a kind of basically a robot pancreas, but it goes on the outside. But if someone was like, yeah, we're going to rip your guts out and like replace it with robot parts and you'll be like functional again, I'd be like, yeah, let's do that.
We're all going to be a bit robot by the time we get to be that age, aren't we?
We're all going to be looking like the Euphoria biker gang here soon.
That's it.
Sure,
that's it.
Why not? It's okay.
One thing about this episode that stuck out for me was the big reveal about why Boba's doing what he's doing. And that
Right.
I think is super important because up until this episode, we were kind of wondering that. Like, that was been the whole thing. The whole, like, okay, well, yeah, I get it. Like, the Tuskens kind of saved him, and now he wants to change. Like, is he a better person? Like, does he care? Does he just see an opportunity and he's taking it? Like, is he just a dog chasing a car, and once he gets the car, he's not going to know what to do with it? Like, what is the motivation here? And he said it in one line: "I'm tired of our kind dying because of the idiocy of others. We're smarter than them. It's time we took our shot."
Lock it up. Yeah, damn right.
Like, you got to shoot your shot while you can.
That's it. And our kind, referring to bounty hunters. And he, I love that the idiocy is referring to specifically Jabba the Hutt and Darth Vader in the last, the last couple of years that we know of Boba Fett's operations. That's who he worked for. So
he worked for a couple of dum-dums. That's what it is. And both of those guys were dead, so they couldn't have been too damn smart.
That's it.
Right?
Like, when you think about it, he's like, yeah, I'm tired of working for idiots. And you're like, yeah, everyone's had an idiot boss. And then you're like, oh shit, he's talking about Darth Vader.
Yeah, right.
Darth Vader an idiot. Like, what? Okay.
What are you going to do about it? Oh, I can't hear you from all the way over there in the land of the Force, so I think I'm good.
I have a question for you guys real quick. Do you think, so if we're, timeline-wise, if we see in this next episode, if Din and Fennec and Boba join up and we're kind of, all in the timeline together now, do you think by the time, 10 years later, when we see Rey burying the lightsabers on Tatooine, do you think Boba will still be sitting on his throne? Do you think he'll have a whole because he could still be around?
That was a whole lot of years later. If you jump, because this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is 5 years post Return of the Jedi.
Well, and Mando season 1 would be 5, so this could potentially even be
7.
Yeah, this could be 6-7 years, depending on how long Mando season 1 and 2 were. We don't really know, so this could be anywhere between 5 to 7-8 years later. We don't know.
And you would kind of gauge the length of the prequels away. And again, this is all written down somewhere, but pretty much by the age of Ben Solo, because he's maybe 25 or 30. So we'll call this 30 years. So yeah, Boba would be, again, he's a clone, so he'd be in his 60s. I mean, there's no reason to think that he wouldn't still be chilling there on the throne. But again, it's a very dangerous profession where everybody's trying to kill you all the time. So there's
turnover rate.
There's absolutely no reason to think that somebody else didn't walk in one day and just shoot him in the face. You know what I mean? So yeah. Or maybe he and Fennec, I don't know, can clones, reproduce in the traditional fashion. She's got robot parts. Maybe they finally, they have a little bit too much blue milk one night. A little bit too much
baby Bobas. Next thing you know, baby Bobas all over the
baby Bobas. You bet. Yeah, maybe she's, because she's got robot bits, she has a big litter of Bobas. You don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to think if he's going in by the end of this, if he is ruling with respect rather than fear, and people actually respect him and kind of fear him, a little bit. He's got a Rancor now. He's got Black Crescent, and he's got some muscle. And we find out, at the end, he says we need some more muscle, and then the Mandalorian song plays. So we know he's got a little bit of muscle behind him.
Right.
But I think by the end of this series, if he is ruling with respect rather than fear, and he's ruling with the people kind of behind him, and the muscle that he gets can take out anyone that's standing in his way, there's a possibility that people just kind of say, like, yeah, we're going to leave him alone. We're going to protect Boba because someone worse could come in. And that's the thing, when you're the worst, like, it's going to get better if we kill this guy. Obviously, it can't get worse than this guy. But with Boba, if he's great, then people are going to be more apt to protect him because, what is it, better the devil you know than the devil you don't, or whatever that saying is, right? So, potentially 25 years down the road, or 20 years down the road, really, whatever. I think he could still be alive and kicking and hovering around in his Star Wars wheelchair. And
Sarah, it's 100% your head
really
canon.
good question, though.
Make it happen. It's your headcanon.
The ruler Tatooine.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think he's still?
I didn't think about it till now. Once you guys started talking, I was like, oh well, I guess maybe timeline wise, if it could work. Jabba, I was trying to think. Jabba was around for a few decades, so and then I guess Bib. I guess I don't want to get too into math here, but then I guess Bib was around for
like 5.
Yeah, so
he was just sitting there eating. You saw how fat he got. So high carb diet.
I just know that I think I hope this is correct. I think Jon Favreau said that these events are supposed to lead up to the sequels, which that's
kind of the theory, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's like my headcanon because as much as I love the sequels, I know, everybody's allowed to have critiques or, whatever, as long as you're not being super whiny and dopey about it. But
and even then, count on it.
yeah. But it would be nice to have more of a bridge rather than just that, post Return of the Jedi, here we are 30 years later, but yeah.
A bunch of stuff happened. I don't know. Why not?
Yep. Fill in the blanks. Okay. Anyway,
I
like that. I love that question though. Like I'm going to be thinking about that and different ways that could play out for a while. So that's interesting. However, I really want to get on to the next chapter because
a quick interruption to something
so good.
Wait a second. Hold on. Let me preface this. And now for something completely different.
Pretty much, because in some ways, I think this was the worst episode of the Book of Boba Fett.
Absolutely agree.
But only because it was the best episode of The Mandalorian.
Absolutely, narratively completely broken, and why?
But why? So not narrative. Not only did it break the narrative, but if the best episode of your show does not include the title character at all,
it's a huge red flag.
Is that character deserving of their own show? Or
completely superfluous?
Is that this was the Mando show? 100%.
I know. April and I get up and watch this. We're early risers because of the stupid cats. We want our treats, and the dog's got to go outside or whatever. So we set the alarm for 5:00, and the pets all know it. So we're up, and it's 5:20, and we're like, time to watch Book of Boba Fett. So we turn the shit on. We knew Mando was going to be a part of it, right? Because it was way too heavy-handed to miss it. And so then Mando comes on, and we're watching, and there's a bunch of stuff happening, which we'll all get into, and stuff. And I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like, when the fuck is Boba Fett going to show up in his own goddamn show? This is ridiculous.
My 6-year-old said the same thing. He just kept saying,
I hope he didn't drop all the F-bombs that I did, because that would really be a problem. I mean, in my opinion. But, what the hell do I know?
No, he was pissed. No, he was legit pissed.
Wow. Why? And I clearly I'm on the same vibe, because it was, it was clearly a great segment. They were really plucking the low-hanging fruit for this one. It really kind of bummed me out, because it's the producers of the show couldn't commit to their own concept, so they had to. Reminds me of either one of you guys Simpsons fans?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember in season, I'm going to say 6 or 7, it was the Simpsons spin-off Spectacular, where they had a different little segment here's where Chief Wiggum goes off and has his own show in New Orleans. Here's where Grandpa Simpson, his spirit inhabits a love detector machine at Moe's bar. And it was that's what this felt like. It's the Book of Boba Fett sucks so bad that we absolutely have to pull in a guest star to not just guest star, but carry the fucking show for a whole week. I'm getting more pissed off the more that I talk about it.
So, and this is becoming a thing, and I can't remember. Did we talk about this on Secret Friends, or we talked about it somewhere? Because it's becoming a thing where you have shows like Mythic Quest that have 2 episodes now, and one in each season that go completely off on a tangent, and comes back, but it features like a massive time jump and new characters and a completely kind of different off storyline, and then kind of comes back for the last 2 episodes, and you find out how that ties in. We saw it with Ted Lasso a couple of times, that it just spins right off, and you see
2 shows that I absolutely do not watch. So I believe you.
Well, the same thing happened with Walking Dead.
Big time. They do it. They do it tons.
Yeah. So like that's becoming a trope now in like modern TV shows.
Yeah.
Of like,
yeah. And I don't like it.
Here's this, like, instead of, I don't know, taking that mid-season break that we used to get in like sitcoms or something. Like,
those were the worst.
I mean,
oh my God,
and they just did it with Star Trek because they have several shows on in a rotation. Discovery is the main show. They took a break. They brought back Prodigy, which is the kids show. That wraps up this week. Talking about it on Code 47. Please tune in. Then Discovery comes back. So it's like they're flipping and flopping, but yeah, they're giving it some breathing room as opposed to, well, the show's kind of dragging along, everybody, blah, blah, and here's Mandalorian. It's like jingling keys in front of a baby. I mean, Mark, you'll appreciate this. Your son's not quite that young, but you know what I'm talking about. Look, it's Mandalorian.
Yeah, and then climbing on a table. Let's turn on Encanto. Let's go.
What?
Secondly, like, don't talk about Bruno. It's like, I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
So I don't like until we see this week's episode that's coming up. The day people are listening to this, they'll see that new episode and expect that. But yeah, every single time Mando turned a corner, I was like, oh, this is where Fennec's going to be like, oh, hey, we need you, or. Yeah, well, he's taking all of his weapons out at the airport hangar or whatever, and I thought that scene was hilarious. As someone who traveled a ton for years with my job,
here's all my shit.
Here's my work laptop and my personal laptop and the video game console that I'm schlepping across the country for some stupid reason. Mm-hmm. And here's this, and I would just go through, and I felt like some kind of weird, like, okay, here's my 6 buckets full of electronics. Cool, thanks.
Give them back to me, please.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, I as much as I laughed at those scenes, it was like every single time I was expecting Fennec to be like, hey, we need you. You can take my ride instead of this one, or like,
maybe I'll come in the last fucking 60 seconds and make you feel like you don't know what the hell you're watching.
I know. By the time she showed up, I like jumped out of my chair. I was like, oh my God, there she is. Okay, we found her.
Fucking finally, Jesus.
So
there she is.
Yeah, right. I knew you were going to find some way to pull this together in the weakest way possible. So, I mean, I'm 100% with you, Mark. It was a great story. You got to watch Mando really struggle with his compatriots, and in the end, they kicked his ass out because he still followed the code. He could have just said, nope, never took my helmet off.
Right.
But he decided to tell the truth, and the armorer said, well, you know what? Get the fuck out of here. You are out. And even Jon Favreau's Heavy Mando was like, yeah, you suck, dude, after he didn't, decide not to cut his head off or whatever because he's too chunky moving around in that suit.
Get on out of here. Like, you got your ass kicked, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you try to act like a big shot. Take your balls with me. But yikes. I mean, there were a lot of great Mando moments. They're really hyping up like Grogu, and then the obviously all of social media, Twitter and Facebook, and it's all a buzz about, oh, what if we see Luke and Grogu in the next episode, and blah blah blah, this thing and that thing. And while again it could provide some like, ooh, I love that thing, it just continues to water down the concept of the fact that the show is not really getting a lot done narratively, and that's not a good saying.
I think they'll skip that. I think that'll be the first part of Mando season 3.
Please,
you'll see.
I hope so.
You'll see what happened, and then something else. But if we get a glimpse of Luke, it's going to be real quick, and Grogu,
and let it be Sebastian Stan, please. Let the rumors be true. Let Bucky be Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
bring it all together.
We do know Luke's stand-in was obviously around the set because he was one of the fighter pilots for this
right,
episode.
and the Asian fella from Kim's Convenience, who we saw multiple times in in Mando. With
just give him a show.
Yeah, she who will not be named. Yeah, just let that one go.
Him. Just that's your Ranger of the New Republic. Like that's just do that. Just
he's my Ranger. He is my Republic Power Ranger. There you go.
And have him training the rookies like he did, and we got a glimpse of that. Like, do you really want to go back and fill out paperwork? Like, he's got so much personality. He's seen some shit. He knows what's going on.
He doesn't like paperwork. He's too much of a badass. He just wants to train the rookies. He wants to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and they don't have bubble gum in Star Wars, so he's just kick ass.
He's all out of. They're all out of bubble gum.
They're all out of bubble gum, kicking ass.
So divisive tie-in-ness diversion aside, Sarah, what'd you think of this episode overall?
I will say, since like I'm always like try to stay on like the jolly side of it all, I think what the two tie-ins, it might be obvious, but like between Mando and Boba is that you have two dudes who are just fed up. You've got Boba, who has done what Mando has done for decades, then got blasted into an acidic fucking... oh my gosh, am I allowed... Did I say a bad word?
Haven't you heard me say fuck like 50 times already? I love listening to your shit, and I'm like, this chick has a dirty mouth, pardon the expression, chick. But I'm like, the thing is, between Mark and I, because we're both kind of filthy Irishmen, and then Todd, who is our third husband, who is like all, ooh, you can't say the F word, we're like,
I never know.
Mark and I are a bit rough and tumble, so you're good with us.
Because I almost shit a brick. Okay. Anyways, but yeah. So you see Boba, who's a little bit, more on the jaded, wants to, apply things differently, do things differently, more respectfully, and you have, Din Djarin, who is, a decade or two behind on that scale, and so he, apart from his whole sabbatical from bounty hunting with Grogu, he was still taking jobs even when he had Grogu, so he's still kind of doing that. So it's like he's still sort of in his comfort zone. He doesn't like it. The one thing that changed his life and made it better and different and took him out of that comfort zone, is off doing his own little thing. And so it's like, where is this man in the galaxy now? Mm-hmm. What does he do? What's his purpose? And I enjoyed the fact so much that when Fennec did show up at the end after so much lovely Amy Sedaris time, so much Pele Goto in this episode, like just taking one for the team.
Is taking one for the team have something to do with banging Jawas? Because I don't know how that's taking one for the team, but
she said furry, very furry.
C'est la vie. Furries are very big. Go to any Comic-Con circuit. I mean, I know. Not personally.
But she's working on herself now. So that's a good message. That's very important. She's working on herself. But when he says, like, it kind of reminded me of Fennec when, like, Boba says, like, if you help me with this, your debt will be paid, whatever. And then when the debt is paid, she's like, I'm coming for the ride. Like, where am I going now? Yeah. And so it's kind of the same, energy when he's like, I'll work for free. He doesn't need to pay me anything. Yeah. I just got to go take care of this thing real quick, which, like you guys said, we'll probably see that meeting again in the actual season 3 of Mandalorian. But I think we see
eventual season 3.
People, everybody's tired. Everybody's just Garza Fwip. She's tired. She's in that sanctuary. That speech that she gave to Black Chrysanthemum. Every woman has given that speech to a dude at least a few times in her life.
Like, you know what? You're great. You know what? You're pretty. You're a good boy. Well, literally, like petting him.
Yeah.
You're a good boy. You're such a good boy.
90% off there.
Be a good boy.
And,
be a good boy.
Yeah. So everybody's tired, and I think they're ready for a change. And so hopefully these last 2 episodes can bring it together, because I'd be a little bit bummed out if it didn't, but I have faith. I love Robert Rodriguez, and I think he's kind of I don't know, he kind of bounces around a little bit and stuff. And it's been interesting to see him executive produce the show, work with Favreau, work with Bryce Dallas Howard, but really be kind of the main director throughout the series so far. I think he'll kind of jump right into hopefully a nice bow. Hopefully it'll tie up.
Is Filoni directing the next one?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Like,
there you go.
He's gonna bring in some stuff. I have faith that he's gonna. And Bryce Dallas Howard, holy crap, she can direct the hell out of it.
Well, that's the buzz right now. Everybody's saying we need her for a movie. We need her for a movie. And I think, Mark, you and I was having this conversation with April. I said we just want a movie. We get this Patty Jenkins buzz, and it turns into Mulder and Scully. Will they? Won't they? Will they? Won't they? It's going to happen. It's not going to happen. Mark, you and I are both big X-wing, fighter pilot guys. That's our scene. We love it. So they keep jerking us around. But even if they put a movie into production tomorrow, it would be 2 years at least before we saw anything. So how much more, flirting do we have to do before we, move to the next stage of that deal? Give us something, they put the Rangers of the New Republic out there and they yanked it away from us. They danced around with this Rogue Squadron deal, and we don't really know what's going on. But yeah, that's what I was remarking when I was talking to my wife. I said Star Wars is 100% a television franchise now. There are no movies at all on the horizon for the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. But in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have 3 to 5 different television series that we're going to see on Disney Plus. So it's a very different world. It's a very different world.
Wild.
Yeah. So I know. Yeah, Sarah, you did mention you like to look on the bright side of things, and I don't want anyone listening to get the wrong impression. I freaking loved this episode. Like, this was true Star Wars. It wasn't Boba Fett, but it was like one of the best things I've seen in Star Wars in years. Like, right up there with my favorite movies and the season 2 finale of Mando. Like, this was like taking the lore and continuing it, character development. Like, this was peak 100% what I want from Star Wars. I just don't think it was a good representation of Boba Fett. Yeah. But like, everything else was superb about it. So that being said, I want to know your favorite scenes. Sarah, what stood out to you for this one?
I keep going back to that just like literal stone cold opening of just seeing him in that shape, right? We always get that sort of soft, curvy, triangular shape, whether it's the hallway or whatever entryway, and they just the way that they keep reinventing this wheel, it blows my mind. It's like I literally died and came back to life when Rogue One came out. When Darth Vader showed up, I was like what? Like, yeah. And then you get Luke coming in that just green, smoky awesomeness. And now we've got this just icy cold. It's so cold you could see the Titanic steam from it. And it's and again, to go back to that kind of mafia organized crime, you got the guys in the back, in the back room of the back room of the back room, right? Where it just gets colder and just jankier and darker. And they got us, what I like about Star Wars, as much as I love a good scary movie, horror movie, whatever, I like how they can only dance on that line so much, and sometimes they salsa dance on it, sometimes they're just waltzing on it, but like by the time he had the dog dude splayed out horizontal and he brought that saber down, I was like, if anybody's worried about the sissification of Star Wars or Boba or Mando, like, go check yourself, because every episode I watch Boba Fett, he's kicking ass in some way. And then just like, that just was like, that was
asses do not remain unkicked.
Yeah, yes.
Without a doubt.
That just really stood out to me a lot. And I don't know enough about Mandalore and that whole arc in Clone Wars and Rebels to really to have been fed as well as like those fans. As a Phantom Menace fan, we were fed very well with the whole Beggar's Canyon. Anything with Amy Sedaris. She is such a gem, and the way she is so eased into that role, and just the verbiage coming out of her just sounds so real. Like it just, she just seems like somebody who's been sitting in Tatooine for decades.
And could have been, if it was like 1% too much, she could have been Mandalorian's Jar Jar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she dialed it like a little bit,
pushing like, that red line
more over the top, but she is so effortlessly perfect in that role and with her delivery of every single line that it doesn't matter if it's like the goofiest shit you've ever heard from Star Wars. Of like, I dated a Jawa once, furry little guys, very handsy. I'm working on myself now. Like, from literally anyone else on the planet, that would have been like, oh God, what are they doing? But from her, like, yes, I want more
like
of this.
She says something about a mental manipulator, something like that. It's just like, I don't know. It's good. Stop.
She's
oh
perfect.
My goodness.
I have to give a shout out to with her scenes. BD droid in live action.
I know that was it. That was your moment.
Yep.
That was your moment.
Tippity taps, and like, I just freaked out because I was like, oh, are they bringing in Cal Kestis? And then it was a different BD. It wasn't BD1. It didn't have the red stripes, and we didn't see Cal. But like, I'm still holding out hope that he shows up in live action. But like, for that moment, like Sarah, you said like your heart stopped, you died, you came back to life. Like, that was the moment for me of just like, whoa, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Let's do this. BD1 Cal Kestis, let's go. But it was still really cool to see a BD droid in a live action thing.
I've been seeing video game like characters and lore in live action. That has to be the craziest level. Like, it'd be one thing to see something out of the what Cobb Vanth was from the comic book. So it's like, that must have been really cool and mind blowing. And like, anytime you see something from the original movies that pop up in the sequels or prequels or shows, true. That's always cool. But like, see, I don't play any of the video games, so I would just imagine like, once you see that, that's like the holy grail.
And that's the thing, like, Jedi Fallen Order specifically is just as canon as anything else. And they played really, tight with that storyline of like, this is canon. We're introducing this as canon. Battlefront 2 did the same thing with some stuff. But like, Jedi Fallen Order was a big departure of like, here's a Jedi that escaped Order 66. Here's the story. Here's the stuff. And they introduced so many really well fleshed out characters. They got into some stuff, again, tying into some stuff from the cartoons of like the sisters and brothers and Darth Vader's kind of Jedi killing squad and different things there. So it's like, that game is just special as someone who's a Star Wars fan and a video game fan, to see something in real life or in a live action show from that game was just like, okay. They're just giving me what I want right now.
They're just giving it to you. Giving it to you.
And awesome. I have to say, the Darksaber stuff, was amazing. Going into that again, I mentioned the weight. We'll talk about that on a future episode. But like just everything with that, the who can rule Mandalore. I still don't. I'm still waiting for Din to see that. The armorer and that whole crew, like the Night Watch or whatever they're called, they're the bad guys. Like, her saying, like, these people ruined Mandalore and they were the downfall and like, this is the way and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a fucking cult.
Right.
Like, they are the bad guys. They follow Darth Maul. You're in a cult, and it's not great. She has spikes on her helmet for a reason, because they worshipped and followed Darth Maul.
Let me give you one more Simpsons reference. No, the leader. No, the leader. There you go. That's what it is. That's what that shit is.
That they are a bad, and I think it was season 1. They said like, you're a child of the Watch or whatever, and they got into it a little bit in season 2. Like,
totally Jack.
They're they're still the good guys. And for her to be like, no, Bo-Katan's bad. And like, these guys are bad. We're the good guys because we're the way. And this is the way. And that's the, but you're out because you showed your face to your
Like
child.
I said, give all your money to the leader. She's not
doing her women supporting women deal.
Right. Like he's going to realize and to plant those seeds again for season 3. I'm excited. I'm out of breath.
Oh my goodness.
Charlie. Any highlights for you that we didn't mention?
I mean, it's all been touched without a doubt. Happy and sad. I do, it's Wizard and this is pod racing, and I love seeing a couple of X-Wings. But yeah, it was, while it was a great episode, again, kind of bums me out that this took away from, I'm fearful it took away from the narrative, but I guess we will find out.
That's the thing that we've had to deal with the whole time with Boba Fett is it's very much, I think, going to benefit from seeing all 7 episodes. Mm-hmm. So next time, by the time we record, I think we'll have seen every episode and we'll be able to look and say like, oh, that's what they were talking about
big
in
wrap
episode
up.
1. And that's the reason they did this in episode 2. And it seemed really slow and weird, but they really got to something by the time they hit episode 7 and it all came together beautifully. Like I'm hoping that happens, but like I understand that there are some people, and I understand the criticisms that they're saying, like, it kind of seems to be all over the place and and like this episode definitely didn't do anything to disprove that all over the placeness.
All over placeosity. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Of this series. But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. I'm not going to lie. Like,
I hear you.
Just give me more Mando. He's quickly becoming my favorite Star Wars character. And to say that and like think that someone could be passing like Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan and Yoda and like
it just shows you how cool and fun Star Wars is to this day.
Time marches on. There's you're right. If it continues to evolve, you're going to get better stuff. That's the way it should be. Yeah. Exactly correct. All right.
Yeah. The more time we spend with characters too, like, I mean, at this point, I think Mando's probably had more Star Wars screen time than any single other character.
Right. Yeah. Well, live action, sure.
Not. I was going to say, like, obviously it's going to be Anakin or Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan for sure. Yeah, probably.
When you're counting the cartoons and stuff. Right. But live action, I'm going to wager a bet that Din is by far the most screen timed character in all of Star Wars.
Screen timery, yes, absolutely.
It's just wild. So yeah, I think that's kind of a wrap though for this episode. Unless you guys have anything else to add. You looking forward to the next couple of episodes?
Oh, it's going to be a wizard. It's going to be Wizard. Just
Sarah, what do you think in the next couple?
I hope we get a little more of the Tusken tribe, or like maybe a callback, or it's going to be. I know that they will, but it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of honors him in this sort of honors them as he goes forward, because obviously they affected him, and it's going to need to be more than just a drive for his like plot line. So it'll be interesting to see if he really sets a standard for anybody dealing with Tatooine. And it seems like that's kind of like his end game, is making sure that the people there aren't taken advantage of.
Right. It delivers on the message. Right.
That's what I'm hoping, at least.
I hope so too. Yeah. That's exactly where I want this to go, is looking out for the little guy, taking care of the people, and just, your
friendly neighborhood Boba Fett.
Exactly. Yeah.
Taking care of the neighborhood.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Robin Hood, like he's a bad dude, but like he's a good bad dude. Like that's what I want. Right. That's it. I think that's it. We'll see where it goes.
Right.
So I can't wait to see how this all finishes and wraps up.
Rock and roll. Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. It was great to meet you, to have you on the show, and we'll hopefully have you back. And I hope people will tune into your show. So before you go, tell people where they can follow you just one more time so they can find you everywhere.
Okay, social media, Twitter is all that I got. So you can find me always at Sarah Palpatine. The profile name might change from time to time, again, depending on the mood, if I'm in a lighter, darker mood. But right now it's Kenobi, Sarah Kenobi. And then you can find both of the podcasts on Anchor or Apple, Spotify if you're still into it, Curiosity Killed the Cat, and Hello There. So thank you guys. And I've really been enjoying your episodes and the geekier show. I was just starting to listen to it today. So even outside of the Star Wars stuff, I'm really excited to get into some more of those episodes.
Awesome. Good deal. Yeah. Please listen and share and all that kind of good stuff. I myself can be found over on Twitter at the C3, spell it out. I also maintain the Secret Friends Unite Facebook content. That's largely me. I also run a great chapter of the Star Trek International Fan Club here in the state of Michigan called the USS Grand Petoskey, which can be found on all social platforms at that name and on a website of the same. That's my story.
And you can find me Instagram, Twitch, Twitter at @the_Canardian. And I'm super happy to say that I have a Level Up Lightsaber affiliate link. You can find it in the show notes, or on my my link tree in any of those profiles. And I get a little kickback if you're ordering a lightsaber. I have one on the way. They're battle ready. And I can't wait to actually beat some crap with a lightsaber, because the one I have from Galaxy's Edge is very.
I've got some great news for you. My birthday is in 24 days. I'll send you my address.
Beauty. All right.
Are you a Pisces then?
Yes. I was. Here's another musical reference for you. This is Australian. Little River Band. I was born in the sign of water. Cool change. No?
Nice.
Google it.
No,
Google it. I love
water sign. It's a water sign.
I love all things Australian. Mark and I really vibe over the Weekly Planet podcast. Love to work with those guys someday. But anyhow,
being kicked off the Co-op Mode podcast, and Todd's replacing me with my 20-month-old son. So that video game podcast is going to very quickly become a Bluey and Encanto podcast. So
my God.
Ready for Columbia or Australian dogs.
Yeah, Todd is a very fickle broad. But with that, friends, I will tell you, as always, thank you for joining us. I'll tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you. Rex, play us out.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.